There was one year we went from, like, honestly, I got there at 6 in the morning and it was, 45, 50 degrees. By 1 o'clock, it was 75 degrees.
Yeah.
And we had, and people want to think that, heat related emergencies don't happen at 75 degrees. They do. When you have that much drastic, change in the heat,
Yeah.
Yes.
and
You can't acclimate.
well, wearing flannels, now it's, now you done made yourself be over 100 degrees and you drop like flies. So
Right.
prepare, hydrate, comfortable shoes, don't bring your new boots thinking that it's going to be okay. No, you're talking about you're going to walk and you're not even going to realize it. You're going to walk 6 miles before you
Yeah.
even know it.
Hey there, howdy, and welcome to the In the Pocket with JayBo podcast, and I am your host, JayBo. Man, we have a really exciting show today with the podcast being based out of Houston. We'll be talking about the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, also known as Rodeo Houston. So to start off today, I want to remind everybody to please subscribe, follow, or like. We are on all of your favorite podcast platforms, primarily on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. We also advertise the podcast on TikTok, X, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So we are all over the place. Getting back to today's subject, we are going to talk about details on past, present, and future of Rodeo Houston, which is a world-renowned and worldwide covered event. It's an amazing show that goes on here annually in Houston in March. I want to introduce our participants in the show today, and I'm going to start off with our very esteemed contributor to the In the Pocket with JayBo podcast. He has been a guest and a co-host in the past. I want to welcome Astro Joe Garcia to the show. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you, JayBo. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a good one.
We have two guests joining us today that are a part of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. The first person I want to introduce you to is Mr. Rusty Wright. How are you doing, Rusty?
Doing good. Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it. And also joining us as well, who's been a part of the rodeo for over 20 years, is Mr. Scott Shaver. How you doing, Scott?
Doing well, Jay. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's really great to have you guys here. We're going to be talking about, again, the past, the present, the current events that are going on at the Houston Rodeo. And we're also going to get some opinions about the future along with it. And I really enjoy the part that they're safety guys with safety backgrounds, and so they know the skinny of a lot of things that's going on associated with the rodeo. So that'll be a lot of fun as well too. So the first gentleman is Rusty Wright. Rusty, again, thank you for joining the show, and please tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Rusty Wright. I've been associated with the Houston Livestock Show Rodeo Medical and Safety Committee about 9 years now. First year captain this year, which I'm very excited about doing that. I work as an EMT for a full-time job, private service in the city of Houston.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Scott, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been affiliated with the rodeo as well, please?
For sure, my pleasure. As mentioned, my name is Scott Shaver. I am in my third and final year as the division vice chair of the medical division of the Medical and Safety Committee. So our committee has 7 different divisions, each with its own niche part of medical and or safety. So been doing that's my 24th total year with the committee. I do work here in the city of Houston. I work for a large healthcare hospital system, and now I am mostly in the IT part of healthcare. So I'm doing the IT aspect of healthcare, which is connected as healthcare is. That is a big piece of it. So, but that's what I do for the organization. But I have been a paramedic and an EMT for over 30 years and a nurse for 20 years.
Nice. Well, greatly appreciate both of you gentlemen joining us today. Okay, as a tradition we have with the In the Pocket with JayBo show is I like to ask a couple of icebreaker questions to our guests just to get everything flowing and kind of in the mood here. Rusty, I'm going to start with you first. What is one of the things that you look forward to that you enjoy the most about the rodeo every year?
It's got to be probably the food, Uh, definitely have not missed any meals. Being part of a committee is probably honestly is it's kind of like when you get together at Christmas. So this is kind of the Christmas time we all get together, meet new people. Uh, so that's probably the most exciting part that I think about the rodeo.
Okay, good deal. Thank you. Joe, do you have something for Scott as far as an icebreaker question?
I think for Scott, I guess just one. I don't even know if it's an icebreaker, but what is the over and under on the number of volunteers on the medical side of things? I think it's an
Well,
icebreaker for me.
I mean, I can tell you as far as number wise, we are a large group. We have over 1,000 people on our committee,
Wow.
and my division, the medical division, is roughly half, just shy of half of that. And the other divisions make up the other roughly half of the division. And we are out there all day, every day, 24/7, and actually have been for the last 3 days, and will continue through the very end of rodeo. So we are always out there, and uh, we uh, we eat a lot of hot dogs. I can tell you that. We have a little hot dog shack on our activity area, and we eat hot dogs by the thousands. It's awesome.
Crazy. Well, I have a follow-up to Joe's question on that is, and sparing any names to protect the guilty, as I always say, is what is one of the funniest or craziest things that you've witnessed at the rodeo and all these years of being associated with it?
Well, it's funny, especially in the healthcare and especially the pre-hospital setting. The funniest or weirdest things can often be very risque and.
Right.
But what I can tell you is, by far and large, if there's something crazy going to happen, it'll be during our World Championship barbecue event. That
Right.
tends to be where we see some of the craziest things happening. I like to joke, and I know with your background being from New Orleans or being from Louisiana,
New Orleans,
I,
yeah.
New Orleans, okay. Well, I thought you said New Orleans, but I wasn't sure.
Right, right.
I always joke that it's kind of like our version of Mardi Gras for 3 days, except it's intense, in a big parking lot. It is, if you can imagine what can happen when adults have unrestricted access to alcohol, it's going to happen those 3 nights.
Oh yeah, I've gone to the barbecue cook-off about I want to say 3 or 4 times, and yeah, it's very similar to a Mardi Gras type of event with the people walking around in between the booths and everything. And we actually had a Mardi Gras theme one evening one year because Mardi Gras Day was actually falling the date was fall the big weekend before was falling on a date of where we were at for the barbecue cook-off. So we actually had Mardi Gras music playing, and we had so many people coming by the booth, giving out beads and Mardi Gras trinkets and all that type of stuff. And the alcohol was flowing. You're right about that. The cocktails were going. So everybody had a good time. It was real safe, but we made sure we had the EMTs and some big security fellows, I'll put it that way, just kind of hanging around, looking around the outside. So a lot of fun.
It is.
Well, thanks, guys. So let's get into our meat and potatoes of what we're going to talk about today, and that's going to be a little bit about the history of the rodeo, the current state of the rodeo, and also what we see in the future with Rodeo Houston's. The first subject let's talk about a little bit is the history of Rodeo Houston. Rusty, talk to me a little bit about things that you're aware of with the history of the rodeo. I know it started back in 1932. I want to say they had some Houston guys that got together because of making the travel to the stockyards over in Chicago was getting kind of rough, and they wanted to have something down here. So, what is your take on the how the rodeo has been in the past?
The rodeos, obviously it keeps growing, but what a few people, may not know is the true kickoff to kind of the rodeo and barbecue cook-off is there's I think was 12 rides that come across all of the state of Texas, and they merge into Memorial Park. Matter of fact, they're still coming in as probably as we speak. They come in from all over. Like there's one of them that believe it takes a week-long trail ride to get into Houston, and that's been a part of the Houston history since I could remember. And then just the history of it just being about the kids.
Yeah.
It's all about the kids. It's never been
And the
about.
rodeo does a lot of contribution to, scholarships for kids, and it's just amazing amount of dollars I've seen. I've seen anywhere from 630 to 660 million as far that's been contributed to education for children over the years, which is amazing.
I have kind of a unique story how the scholarships, and I was working for AMR and I was in the elevator, and I think I had a Houston Rodeo hat on or something like that. And the young lady in the elevator, as we were going to pick up a patient, she goes, "Hey, I'm so and so. I'm one of the recipients of a Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo scholarship."
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, she was going off to be a doctor. I mean, it was really, it's you kind of, like, hey, all my hard work that I volunteer, and we have probably the history's always been built on the volunteers of helping out. It's grown into, I think, over 4,000 volunteers help put on the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Last year, I think they announced that we were up to $680 million that we have given out for scholarships.
That is amazing. Joe, what about that, man?
It's just one of the many stories that these guys can tell us in the limited time we have here. But that's a great one. I mean, that shows the impact that the rodeo actually has on real people and real lives.
Yeah, and just a by chance happening too, it sounds like,
Yeah.
right, Rusty?
Oh yeah, I mean, you're talking about a city of 4 million people and the probably less than a 1% chance.
That's amazing. So, Scott, why don't you tell us same thing a little bit there?
Sure. So, and I'll divulge just a little bit into the some of the historical times of rodeo. Just on a personal note, I've been going to rodeo since the early '70s, and born and raised here, and well, technically born in Dallas, but I don't tell nobody that. But raised in Houston since I was about 1.5 years old, so I've been here for a hot minute. Some of the things I find interesting is in 1942, for example, is when Rodeo Houston had its first entertainer come to the show. So, today and now, Rodeo Houston is oftentimes associated with the entertainment lineup, not just the rodeo events themselves. But that first entertainer was Gene Audrey, and that was back in 1942. And that's also, as a fun note, is when the first calf scramble happened, which is as I'm sure you guys know, is a huge event at Rodeo Houston. Everyone just adores the calf scramble and how that actually contributes to the scholarship funds that Rusty was just talking about. And then, we've been at the Astrodome, I believe, since 1966, if I'm getting my dates right.
Right, I'm looking at it right now, actually.
Which is where I first saw it. I remember going to the Astrodome and watching rodeo there with my parents back in the '70s. And then, of course, in 2003 is when we moved to the big stadium, NRG. But, rodeo is a year-round event, which is something a lot of people don't realize. The big rodeo event, obviously, is those 3 weeks in March, but there are rodeo events year-round for the committees, for the fundraising aspects. But the Rodeo Houston is definitely a integral part of the city of Houston, and I am just so excited about being able to be part of it every year.
That's amazing. Like I said, my family and we moved from New Orleans about 7 years ago, but I had been working for a company out of Houston, man, since 2007, and been back and forth many times, as you can imagine, with the flight that goes up and then it goes down from New Orleans to Houston. And but I had been to the cook-off a few times. I had heard of the Rodeo Houston, but I didn't realize the scale that it was on. It's amazing how huge it is. It's crazy, you know. Joe, you've been to several rodeos in the past too. What's your opinion on in the past with the rodeo? What you've seen in the past with it.
I started going to the rodeo in the '90s, so back in the Astrodome days, and I think the most amazing thing is how much it's just grown so much. It grows every year. Volunteered for a few years, played events there in bands, and the most amazing part is just how it grows. And also, I think one things you guys might be able to talk about a little bit more is a lot of people don't really understand the volunteer part of it versus the operations part of it. Everything there, volunteers do a lot of the work there that goes unnoticed. And the number of volunteers, the number of committees grows. The committees grow every year, and then there's different rules. I think Scott said something about that he's on his third year of whatever he's doing, and there's different terms that go for the different positions. The captains can only be captains for so long, and just a lot of internal things that work behind the scenes that the people don't see. And I think that's something that a lot of people just don't know. But those are the nuts and bolts of the things that help make the thing grow and make the volunteers make things look easy for everybody. And because they're doing such a good job of the pre-planning. Can you tell us maybe a little bit of some of the pre-planning that goes on? Because the event is 3 weeks plus the barbecue cook-off itself adds on a little bit. What people don't know is this isn't that you touched on it a little bit. This is a year-round event where there's planning that goes on. So I'm sure you guys can tell us some war stories on some of that.
We start as soon as like our rodeo stuff ends, we have probably about a month, and then we start recruiting. We see where if people say no, this is not for me, and they leave or they transfer to other committees. But we hit it. I mean, April, May, we start putting out, hey, we've been gotten X number of more spots. So we start recruitment, we start training, we start, um, we do as a leadership, we do it in the rodeo meeting. Like, hey, what went right? What went wrong? How do we fix it?
Part of volunteering, and Scott, do y'all have any idea how many volunteers you have just on the medical side of things or the safety side of things?
Well, so for our committee, for the Medical and Safety Committee, we have a little bit over 1,000 members for the Medical and Safety Committee, and we're actually one of 3 medical committees. So actually 2 other medical-based committees out there. We have a health committee. The health committee actually treats the kids who are out there showing their animals. Oftentimes, these kids are from out of the city, out of the county,
Right,
all over the state of Texas, and their PCP is nowhere near. So we actually have a health clinic that runs Monday through Friday, and I think the weekends too, but don't quote me on that. But the kids can go see a primary care doctor at the back of Reliant Center if they're feeling sick. Yeah. And then we also have the Sports Medicine Committee, which handles all the rodeo athletes during the rodeo events. And I'm not sure on their size either, but I know ours specifically is over 1,000. And then my division, which is the medical piece of it, so we're the ones that actually are the hands-on medics. And if you're out there, we're the ones in the red vest with the big white cross in the back of it. We have just shy of 500, and that's made up of EMTs and paramedics and nurses, and I got some PAs and nurse practitioners on the committee as well. And we act as first responders out there for the entire time the show is there. And I want to touch on something that Astro Joe mentioned, just kind of the nuts and bolts, if you will, of Rodeo Houston and the rank. Every rank at Rodeo Houston, with the exception of committeemen. So, and I'm gonna list off the ranks quickly: assistant captain, captain, vice chair, division vice chair, division chair, committee chair, vice president. Those all of those ranks are for 3 years maximum. At the end of 3 years,
right.
If there is a position above you, so for example, Rusty here's a captain. At the end of his 3rd year, if there is a vice chair position above him that's vacant, he can of course be considered for that position. However, if not, he will go back down to being a committeeman, and that way somebody else has the opportunity to come and do a leadership role. And it really is a unique aspect of rodeo because, again, even the vice president, every 3 years, we're getting a turnover of leadership, so we get new and fresh ideas, new concepts,
Right.
And really, I think, speaks to the longevity of how these volunteers, and right now, I think the last number I saw was 36,000 volunteers over for the entire rodeo, how it maintains it and keeps it running. And I will say the volunteers do most of the work. I mean, I'm talking like over 90% of the work. Rodeo Houston has a very tiny paid staff that works year round. It's very small. Everything is ran by volunteers. Like our division, 100% volunteers. We have nobody paid that does anything medical and safety. And that's way for every committee out there. So it is truly a volunteer-run organization.
And I think that's really touches on the part of being safety and health management that's going on out there, because you have people that want to be there. It's a labor of love because you want to be a part of the event. You want to be a part of the solution of helping people out there. And that to me, that's just huge. And you're probably going to get some of your best people because their heart's into what they're doing out there to help people out. I think that's outstanding. And you see it with golf tournaments. You see it at big events. You even see these things at Mardi Gras. If anything, it might cost you money to volunteer. You know?
Right.
So volunteering is
does.
not just you go in there and doing it for free. It's costing you time and or money and, opportunity costs of other things in your life. I've been on that side of it as well. And again, it's a labor of love. And I have a lot of good memories doing volunteer type of work and those types of things. I can tell you that,
Yep.
you know. So go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I was just agreeing with you. It does that. Yeah, we do pay to volunteer. So another seldom talked about component of to be on a committee, you have to be a member of rodeo, and anybody can be a member of rodeo. So there actually is no requirement to join the membership ranks of rodeo. That does not mean you're on a committee, but to be a member of rodeo, that does cost. There is an annual membership or a lifetime membership for
Sure.
that. But you have to be a member, so you got to pay before you can even interview to be on a committee. And then most committees have dues, which helps pay for a lot of the stuff that we love. Like I mentioned hot dogs, I believe, earlier. And so like our committee, we have our dues, and we have a little hot dog shack, if you will, that we get to eat at, and that our dues help pay for that. So it does cost to volunteer. I used to do a lot of the interviews for potential members, and something I always tell them is, yes, here's the dues, but I'm going to show you how you get that money back in spades.
Right.
By all the stuff you get, be a part of and participate in because you're on our committee.
So you guys mentioned, we're talking a little bit about the history. So this is some good information for everybody to get an understanding of how the volunteers have grown and everything else. Both of you, I think, have seen a little bit from the Astrodrome transition to NRG. Can you tell us a little bit about how the logistics have changed from anything from parking to ambulances to facilities? There's a lot of logistics that has to go on behind that, and I know you guys probably talk to that a bit to let the public know some of the logistical things that you guys handle for getting this done, keeping everybody safe.
We have 6 different mobile units. We had been blessed by Rodeo. We actually have 2 brand new ones coming. They're not in service yet, but we're working on that because there's a lot of training that goes into it. We just don't say, "Hey, here's the keys, take it and do what you want to." Then on the ambulance side is we always have from 7 a.m. to about 2 a.m. We have 2 ambulances staffed by AMR and Houston Fire Department at a staging area. We do first aid, basic first aid, and then we get to an ambulance if you need to go to the hospital.
And then I can also speak a little bit, Astro Joe, about just some other logistics, just what I've seen over the years. First off, let's talk about the stadium itself, right? So the floor of NRG is cement. It's at the cement floor.
Right.
When the Texans play, they roll in the grass, and Texans play on the grass. When rodeo is here, we roll out the grass, and we bring in, I don't even know how many metric tons of dirt, but they're bringing dirt, and then they put up all the gates, right? They've been doing that for the last week, starting to put the gates up and bring in additional stands because we actually extend the stadium stands I think it's about 10 rows more than you would see for a Texans game, for example. So they've been working on that already. Then you have the center, which is where all the shops are at, as well as the ag venture area for the kids to come interact with the animals and learn about, the farm animals and whatnot. And they start moving in all that stuff. So there are volunteers that do all that too. So there's a facilities committee, and I'm probably get these names wrong because there are 130 plus committees. I don't know them all by name, but there's a group that does all that, handles all the facilities of getting things ready. And then just the amount of food that gets shipped in every night to stock the stuff. I don't even want to know what the turkey leg count is, but just the amount of food that gets shipped in on a nightly basis to get ready for the next day. And then speaking of overnights, I mentioned we do 24/7s. People may ask, well, why are you there? Rodeo shuts down at midnight or 1 o'clock. To the public, yes, But, like, for example, when all those kids are bringing in their steers or bringing in their heifers or bringing in their lambs, that happens at 3 or 4 in the morning. So these kids and their parents are coming in at 3 or 4 in the morning to get those animals in before the crowds show up, and get them all settled, right? So there is just a lot of background. We have a recycling committee, for crying out loud, who actually picks up the trash and helps get things recycled or disposed of. So there is just, I always joke too, if there's a job that needs to be done at rodeo, it's being done by a volunteer. And that is about 99% true at all times. The only people how I know get paid are the vendors who are selling you food because they're working for a company out there. The guys scanning your bags when you come in, and the security. And that's really about it. But everything else is done by volunteers, and there is just so many moving parts. Like, I just found this out last year myself, and I've been on this on 20 plus years. Is if you go to Rodeo Houston, those guys that are on the ground taking care of the gates and working the gates, that's a whole subcommittee doing that. Yep. So there is just so much logistics and so much things that get moved in and get moved out. And let's talk about barbecue real quick. So barbecue happens in that front parking lot of Reliant Stadium, right? Right. You can kind of picture, if you look at a map, it's the south end. So on Saturday night at midnight, that's still full of tents and people. In 30 hours, it is completely emptied in its parking lot again, because we got to have parking for the first show, which this year is on Monday. And so at noon, Monday, it has to be ready for cars to come and park. So there is just an army of people who come in and clear all that out in a 30-hour period to get ready for parking for the first show. So there is just, it always amazes me just the amount of moving parts that happen to get every night and every day ready for the next round of guests to come in on the grounds.
And, kind of just to add to what Scott was saying, and we normally open up on a Tuesday. We're opening on a Monday. So normally they have from night Saturday, they have the next 60 hours. Well, now they don't. They're down. They basically have cut their time in half this year. I worked barbecue last year, and I kid you not, there's a road that separates the midway and the arena at 11:30. That was lined up with forklifts. So all these buildings that you see, they're temporary buildings. They are able to have forklifts pick them up, and not just pick them up. We're talking about 40 feet in the air, and they're driving while people are still there. They ain't playing around. Okay.
Wow.
To also touch on the logistics part, is that this is the first year that we've done 24-hour shifts. So it's just like there were so many even moving parts, even after rodeo shuts down at 1 o'clock in the morning. So you still have all of the midway workers. You've got all the food workers that are shutting down, cleaning up. You've got still kids getting up at 4 in the morning, brushing, cleaning, everything like that. So it was just a very much need for us to extend our hours to that. So and I'll touch on barbecue is what takes them about a week and a half to get all those tents up. It takes them about 35 hours, and it's back to where cars can park on it.
Wow. It's simply amazing how many moving parts that are, associated with Rodeo Houston being put together, because it's like you guys said, it's not just the concerts. It's not just the rodeo part. There's all types of events that are going on around there as well. And anybody interested, please, you can find it on rodeohouston.com for all the information about the Rodeo Houston and the events, the tickets, everything associated with it. You can find on that website. Again, that's rodeohouston.com. I do have a question for you. Which one of you two is the president of the hot dog committee? Which one is that with you guys?
We are consumers.
Of consumers, or the president who has to order this stuff, because that's our logistics department there. So kind of the what makes up the medical and safety committee. You have our medical part, you have our safety part, you have our investigators part, you have, is the fire marshals underneath us too?
Yep,
you have
fire marshals.
And logistics, all underneath our umbrella.
That is just, again, it's just a lot of moving parts. And I can only associate it with Mardi Gras. That's the only thing I can think of because Mardi Gras is about, I mean, Mardi Gras officially starts in January, but it's really about almost a 2-week time frame that goes on with it. And the weekdays are usually kind of slow. It's the weekends, the 2 weekends before Mardi Gras Day, which is the Fat Tuesday, which I've heard about traditionally. This is basically a 3-week long event, and it's every day, bang, bang every day. And the good part is with Mardi Gras, you're at different parts of the city, but it's centralized with Houston, which is great at the Energy Center and the surrounding, complex, I'll call it, around that area. But the coordination of the parking and just all the logistics concerned, the HSC associated with it's just mind blowing how much goes on with all of that. It truly blows me away. And it was the first year I went, I couldn't believe how coordinated it was. I was amazed at how coordinated it was. So my hat's off to Rodeo Houston and the people that are in charge and the volunteers because it was so coordinated. People were very friendly to help you out and where you needed to go. And they could always tell if somebody was new, like myself, walking around like my head's on a swivel. I didn't know where to go. And they proactively, sir, are you looking for something? Sir, can I help you? And I looked at my wife and I just said, I love it already. And I wasn't even in the ground yet for everything officially. But the cook-off, if anybody ever has a chance to go to the barbecue cook-off, man, go experience that event. That is something else. And they have bands performing at the tents at the barbecue cook-off as well. I don't remember. There had to be at least 100 tents there when I went there several years ago for that. I'm sure that's grown as well, Rusty, or anything about that?
We are at last year. I know we had 439 barbecue teams cooking and vying for that grand champion coveted trophy that you get. And to
Nice.
kind of on the metric tons of dirt that they bring in, I want to say, if I remember correctly, somebody told me a couple years ago that it was I know it's over 100. It's over 100 dump truck loads of dirt to fill in NRG just to do.
That is
I mean,
crazy.
it takes them about a little over 24. I mean, straight. I mean,
Like herding
coming
cattle,
in
just getting the dump
over.
trucks in, I guess, right? I guess that would Joe, you performed in some other bands at the rodeo in the past. Tell us about that experience a little bit.
Well, there's different places that have different events. Everybody, of course, thinks of the top line entertainers, that everybody goes and pays for, but they have different venues that are part of it. For example, the Wine Garden, where they go and judge the different Texas wines. Part of that, they'll have a series of different bands and musicians who will go and play there for that. So whether you like the wine or not, that's an option for the public to go in and see and support live and local music. Usually they'll get some local musicians. Sometimes they get some from across Texas and other places as well. I think they also have music in the Stockman's Club for the volunteers to go to, and usually they'll get some pretty good names that go in there. I know they also have some music in the arena, and of course they have them as part of the barbecue tents. Usually those are hired by or put on by the private companies that'll go and have their tent to entertain their clients and the family and friends and everybody else. So I've performed in a lot of those, and they all kind of have their own different vibe, but it's all in the context of putting on the show of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, and sometimes also just part of the barbecue experience. But it's all part of the experience, and in all those, there's always volunteers that are helping you get to where you're going, controlling the traffic. So it comes back to the volunteers and the job that they do. But these are, again, all things that you don't really see. Somebody's guiding the band as where they can park, where they can unload, where they can get the flatbeds, use the golf carts to get people in and out. And with those, sometimes you'll get the security people will help with that to make sure that they're clearing the way to get you through. Uh, Again, all things that happen behind the scenes. But the good news is, if you're the person who's attending and you want to listen to some music, you show up, sit down, enjoy yourself, and have a good time. But in the meanwhile, know that those 100 things had to happen before all that could happen. So,
No doubt. No
so,
doubt.
so yeah,
And
there's a lot with that.
I haven't performed in a band that's performed at the Houston Rodeo, but I have at the Austin Rodeo, which is a lot considerably smaller scale. And man, just to have those ATVs out bringing the band equipment and all that. That is a lifesaver, those type of things. But the people coordinating on the walkie-talkies, and I'm sure there's a million walkie-talkies out there with everybody to coordinate timing and, when they're supposed to be here and when you're supposed to be there and all that type of stuff going on. So Scott, talk to me a little bit about, I want to build a little bit on what Joe just said about the entertainment venues that go on around the Houston Rodeo, because I know that's mainly what a lot of people want to hear about. So talk to me a little bit about the entertainment with the rodeo currently that's going on.
Glad to. And I want to also jump back just a tiny bit, and then I'll go forward. But in regards to barbecue, there's a question I get asked a lot by people who've never been. Each one of the tents is its own entity, and you have to have a ticket wristband to get into the tent. So if you come out to a barbecue and you pay for your entry to get into barbecue, that doesn't get you into a tent. However, and this is something that I always stress, because this is what I used to do a lot of, is that does get you into, there's a public barbecue tent that will feed you. As part of your entry fee, you get a free barbecue sandwich. Now, it's not World Championship barbecue from one of these 439 teams, but it is good barbecue. But there is a free stage in the middle of barbecue, I believe. It's right in the middle, and they have concerts all day long. It's a lot of really good Texas country artists. I think this year Corey Morrow is playing and Jason Boland's playing, some of my favorites.
Oh, nice.
But so you definitely, just because you don't have a wristband to get into a tent, you can definitely still come out to barbecue, have yourself a barbecue sandwich. The carnival's still open, and you can still go watch some good concerts at the stage. Now, during rodeo itself, there are so much live music just happening all the day. But there's the Junction stage, which is on the east-ish side of the Astrodome, that has not just music, but just entertainment, magicians out there and whatnot, but they always have live entertainment and live music out there. The Wine Garden, like Astro Joe mentioned, they have several mini stages where you can hear just good live music from just a lot of people. It's just great music and entertainment. The Hideout is the big public club, if you will, and they have a concert every single night. All this lineup, actually, I was looking earlier today I haven't seen a lineup yet, but they'll usually come out pretty close to going live with rodeo. But you can go to the Hideout and see live country music and dance at a big old honky tonk. So you can go in there and dance while you listen to live country music. And then if you're a member of rodeo, there are several members places you can go, like the main club where they always has live music, but you have to be a member of rodeo to do that. But there is just a lot of live music if you love music. But there's other things, right? We have I haven't seen this yet, but the last few years we've had a drone show every Saturday night. I'm assuming we're going to have one this year. I haven't seen it for certain, but it would surprise me if we didn't have a drone show. That's awesome.
That's got to be cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's really. So the very first show we did it one time, and it was a huge hit. And so they had them come back the next 2 weekends, and then last weekend was last year was the second year in a row we did it, and it was every Saturday, if I remember right. But yeah, there is just so much to do, and of course the carnival's there if you're into the carnival rides and whatnot. It's definitely there for you. My kids have thankfully aged out of that, so I don't have to buy tickets for them no more for that. But there is just a lot, and there's also a lot of education opportunities out there. So I don't want to forget that piece. So. And my kids, when they were growing up, we used to always go to the adventure section where they could learn about how the heck bees work and how they make honey, or they have live birthing chambers. You can watch a pig being born if you're there on time. What is happening? So there's a lot of educational opportunities out there as well. And then also, this is sometimes overlooked, but the arena, so not the big stadium, but the arena has horse shows and cutting shows and all sorts of really cool events happening all during the day as well. So if you want to go see some horsemanship or stuff like that during the daytime, the arena always has events going on as well for you to go watch. And so there is something going on every hour that rodeo is open. And I think it opens up around noon or 1 every day, and we're closed till midnight. And it's a nonstop plethora of music and entertainment and things to do.
Well,
but this year's got
Scott,
some great
you got
artists.
me fired up. I'm ready to go out there right now, man.
Come on. Well, this year too, we're talking about some of the artists this year, just the big stage. We got some great ones coming. My wife is super excited. She told me we have to go see the opening act, which is Riley Green's her favorite artist right now. So, but there's a lot of great artists and a lot of different venues, a lot of different tastes. Man, if you like any kind of music for the most part, it's going to be there this
yeah.
year. It's pretty awesome.
I'm looking at the big stage lineup, and I'm seeing Riley Green, as you said, Rascal Flatts, Lizzo, Dwight Yoakam, Luke Bryan, Megan Maroney, Creed, Chris Stapleton. I mean, who doesn't like him? Shabuzi, Kelly Clarkson, Pepe Aguilar, the Red Clay Strays, Laney Wilson, Parker McCullum. I saw him last year. What a show he put on.
Yeah.
And let me give some props here because we were watching the rodeo going on. We were lucky enough to be invited to a suite, and we saw the rodeo, which was really cool. And then after that, they cleared out everything. They rolled the stage out in the middle of Energy. These big flaps came down, and that was part of the stage. So Parker McCullum was going down each. It looked like a star almost, a center, and it was like that. It just folded out, and it was just amazing. We had such a great time.
And it's actually called the Star Stage, so you're correct on that.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, Tim McGraw is going to be there the last Saturday, and Cody Johnson. I mean, one thing I really want to impress upon what Astro Joe brought up is don't discount going to see at the smaller events the local live music, because you'll have a lot of citywide, regional wise, Texas wise bands out there, and man, you talk about some good down home musicians that they don't necessarily do this for a living. That's I call it the committed hobby. And Joe and I being in a band together with 3 others, we know what it's like, and it's amazing to be able to perform at those types of events and things like that. It's a lot of fun. But if you have a chance to go frequent those smaller areas that y'all brought up and to see the bands playing in those venues, man, don't pass it up, because I guarantee you're going to have a good time. There's so much to pick from. And we really want to stress that this is a real kid-friendly event. The Rodeo Houston is. You'll see a lot of children running around, and the one thing I always remember is seeing a bunch of smiles on kids. I do remember that so much. And the only thing is you'll probably have to calm them down and keep up with them, because you're going to get your cardio workout. That's for sure while you're out there.
Kind of while we're talking about kids and everything like that. My suggestion is you'll see a lot of people in turquoise green vest. I think, is that the information?
Directions and assistance, but yes, information.
Yeah. If you have small children, please go see these men and women. They will give you a little wristband for your children. They put your number on there in case this kid is lost or anything like that. Yeah. They have the wristband for the child. If the child gets away from the parent or anything like that, they have your number. So I myself, Scott, or anybody in security, hopefully another adult that finds this child will understand, hey, parents' phone number is on that. Unfortunately, it is a reality that we do have a lot of missing children that go, that, they wonder, it's light. Everything, it's truly system overload.
To be clear, Absolutely. They get found. They don't stay missing. We do find them.
Yes, temporarily missing. They're lost, but they do get found.
Yes.
Well, it can be a traumatic event, not only for the kids, but for the parents as well. I mean, y'all can imagine. But like, for instance, what Rusty just said, Rusty, I'm really, really thankful that you brought up that point, that it is a very kid-friendly event for the young ones, but also just be cognizant of where you are. Leave your phone on ring unless you're in an event that, dictates you turning your phone on buzz instead, vibrate instead. But, it's just, there are so many people out there. Just be a little more wary than you normally would. And, go in groups. That way you can, if you have a chance, go in groups. That way everybody can help look out. But one parent with about 6 or 7 kids is going to be a big challenge. So remember that kind of thing. But if, bring some adults, bring your friends, and just be cognizant of your surroundings and making sure you go out there with a game plan, because like Rusty said, it can be very overwhelming with the amount of people out there. Go ahead, Rusty. You look like you had something.
So kind of to touch on what, Scott's saying, that how much Houston Livestock Show Rodeo drives into education. My wife is a special needs teacher. Here she is with HISD. I got signed up to be kind of a volunteer with her. And this was, they allow the schools in the area to come during the day, and they have young adults from all schools from the FFA, and they take them all through the ag venture, let them see, they can, some of the animals you can pet, some of them you can't. But I was with her. We took her whole class through and let them ask questions. You can see how to milk cows. And like Scott said, if you time it just right, you can see pigs being birthed. They have signs up there saying, hey, this pig was born on this day. And we have probably about 20 or 30 births out there at the rodeo.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's driven by education. It
Nice.
really is. It's a lot of fun. And the rodeo doesn't charge these schools to come in because they want to get you the education and show you that, hey, rodeo is more than the bright lights, the entertainment, all of that.
Yeah.
We want to be first and foremost the education part of it.
Absolutely. I think because of the dollars that the rodeo generates towards scholarships and kids programs is just simply amazing. It goes back to what we said earlier, Scott, when in building on Rusty's point of I think over 630 million has been raised over the years towards educational funds and things for children. But that ties into I read here. I'm looking at my notes right now. I'm reading here that the rodeo has about 2.7 million visitors annually. I mean that for like basically a 3-week period. Am I correct, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is amazing. And I think they said they set a record last year with 2.7 and 30,000 plus exhibitor entries in the livestock competitors between junior open and youth shows and a world record auctions in the junior markets. That's insane awesome stuff, man. So let's transition into something if it's okay before we get into the future what we see in the future of the rodeo is so the regular Houston citizen hasn't been to the rodeo before, and they've been hearing about it from their friends or they watch this podcast and, man, I want to go check out the rodeo. What would you guys recommend for just a family of 4, say, if they're interested in going check out the rodeo, just walk around and check out things to see what to do? Scott, what is your advice
Well,
there?
I want to start by how to get there. Because
Yeah.
Houston traffic on a good day is horrible. So you can
Right.
imagine the crowds descending on a singular point in the south part of Houston at the same time. So I highly recommend using the Rodeo Express buses. There are several places around
okay.
town, and don't quote me on the price. It's pretty inexpensive for you to get a ticket. Takes you there and back, drops you off right in front of the rodeo, inside the actual Reliant Stadium or stadium area. We call it the bus tent. They drop you off at the bus tent. That way you don't have to worry about trying to fight traffic and park. So that's the first key to me is take the bus if you can. And then you can go to Rodeo Houston's website and it gives you all the details of all the lots around town that you park in, and the bus will take you down there. That's number one. Once you're there, if you have kiddos, definitely I highly recommend going to Ag Venture. That's over in the Reliance Center. It's going to be on the east end of Reliance Center, where you can see all the educational information. You can also walk, and some people don't know this, but you can walk to the back of the center where all the livestock is and just walk around. It's open. So you can walk by, see if we got heifers back there or steers. They're going to be tied up, so don't worry. But you can walk by and look at them. Please don't touch them. But you can see all the
Right.
livestock, so you can definitely do that. Carnival for kids. Kids love it. We have carnival for small kids and carnival for big kids. So you can do either one. And then obviously, if you've never been, I would definitely recommend getting and going to the show. I would definitely recommend getting in there right when it starts, so you can get the whole rodeo experience, not just the entertainment at the end, but get through. They have what's called the grand entry, where a bunch of people just come in and ride, and they tell you who they are, and they're all people who have somehow helped rodeo and support rodeo. For example, one night this year will be a volunteer appreciation night, and one person from each committee will walk in to represent their committee. So be there early, get to see all the actual rodeo events, like the team roping, the steer riding, the bronc riding, the mutton busting, the calf scramble, all that stuff. Definitely be sure, because most of the kids I know, that they remember that. The concerts, yeah, it's awesome, Mom, but most of the kids, they remember what they saw in the dirt with the horses and the cows
Right.
and the sheep and whatnot. Definitely recommend that. Also remember that, especially if you're going on a weekend, the carnival is open after the concert, so you can always go to the carnival afterwards. Do that. But I would also recommend 100% downloading the Rodeo app. It's actually gotten really good in the last few years, and it has an interactive map, so you can actually see where you're at and see where you're going to go to, and help you get there. It lists all the concerts for that day and what stage they're on. So definitely recommend getting that Rodeo app. All that stuff, again, is on the website, but I think if you just search Houston Rodeo in the App Store, it probably pops up. But definitely recommend getting that app to really help, especially if you're a first-timer or a 10-timer. I still use it. I've been going over 20 years because it just helps do that. But there's also, and then Rusty mentioned the Directors and Assistants Committee, or we call it the DNA Committee, with the wristband. They also have a program guide they'll give you if you ask them for one. It lists every day and every event in chronological order. So you can get one of those and see what's going on today and where to go and whatnot. And of course, you can keep it and come back the next day and do it again because it has next day stuff on there as well.
Awesome. And one thing with that, and I'll put out there, grandparents and parents, if you're not sure how to get the app and follow it, the young ones can probably help you figure it out because that's what they do all the time, right?
Well, and I will add, you mentioned grandparents, and I'm not trying to be an ageist, but the size, the footprint of the Rodeo Houston exterior is massive. So please be prepared. This is the medical and safety part of me. Good, comfortable walking shoes. For the love of God, don't wear your new boots you just bought for rodeo. Wait, break them in and wear them next year. Do not wear your brand new boots. Wear comfortable shoes. If it's going to be even close to a warm day, just drink lots of water. You're going to be walking a lot. I mean, I'm talking. It's massive. If you have a step counting app, you're going to break your record at Rodeo Houston with the steps you're going to take.
Most definitely.
But just remember that. Also remember, if you go to Reliance Center, it's air conditioned, so if you need to cool off, you can always go in there and walk around the shops and the animals and cool off. But yeah, be prepared for a lot of walking. Some of the stuff we see as medics a lot are people who weren't prepared for the size and scope of the physical demand of walking the grounds for hours in the hot sun and only drinking soda. So just to bear in mind, it's like a marathon. You're going to be there all day. You're going to need lots of water.
Right. And Astro, I think Texas weather can still be a little unpredictable in March, right?
Indeed.
It's going to be a lot. Yes. Hot, cold, even just always check the weather because you could be hot in the day and cold at night or vice versa. You don't ever know.
Yep.
So if you're going to be there all day, you may have to even take layers, right? You might have your shorts on and then at night you have to put your jacket on.
I don't know if you guys have spouses like my wife. The perfect is you got to be between like 67 and 71 degrees, and that's perfect. Outside of that, she's freezing or she's hot, so you got to figure it out beforehand. But I think what Scott's alluding to, and Rusty really brought to point, is that prepare. Don't just look it up and, let's head out and go. Prepare. Look at the weather. Get the app on your phone. Ask questions. Go to rodeohouston.com to check out all these things and go to the Q&A sections and check it out. Go to YouTube can be your best friend. Go on there and watch videos of people that have gone to the rodeo. I think YouTube can be your best friend before you go. Watch some YouTube videos of people going to the rodeo. I think that would be great too. Rusty, you had something to add to that?
Not really. I think Scott kind of wrapped it all up because I was going to say don't wear your new boots because being an AC last 3 years, I've probably kept Band-Aid in business as many Band-Aids as I've given out. These I'm not hating on the ladies, but it never fails. They bring these tall boots and
Lord,
come in the room. Hey, you got a Band-Aid? Here you go. And the guy who's with them, he's just doing this.
He's probably doing this. It is what it is.
Just like you said, basically prepare because there was 1 year we went from honestly, I got there at 6 in the morning and it was 45, 50 degrees. By 1 o'clock, it was 75 degrees.
Yeah,
and we had and people want to think that heat-related emergencies don't happen at 75 degrees. They do. When you have that much drastic change in the heat,
Yes.
and
You can't acclimate.
wearing flannels, now now you done made yourself be over 100 degrees and you drop like flies.
Yeah.
So
Right.
prepare, hydrate, comfortable shoes, don't bring your new boots thinking that it's going to be okay. No, you're talking about you're going to walk and you're not even going to realize it. You're going to walk 6 miles before you
Yeah.
even know it.
And sooner or later, your body's going to say, all right, that's enough. And then you need to be ready. And then you're going to be looking for guys like Scott and Rusty to help you out. Just prepare is the key word, the key phrase there. I think we covered a lot there on that subject as far as the current rodeo and what's going on. And guys, that's a lot of great information because I wanted to ensure that we talked about preparing and what to expect when you get there. And I really think we covered that really good. So thank you. So the last topic of this podcast I wanted to have is, where do y'all see the future of the rodeo going, evolving and beyond 2026? What do y'all think? Scott, I'm gonna go to you first. What do you see there with the rodeo evolving?
I definitely see us still growing because there's still empty seats, so there's still some room, although not much. Rodeo Houston is close to busting at the seams a lot of nights, but I don't see us slowing down. I can tell you that as volunteers, we are ready for it to get bigger and better every year. Just bring it on. We'll deal with it, right? And that even comes from the medic side. We're like, all right, we'll bring it on. We'll handle it, right? But we share the facility with the Texans, and we're part of the two major contributors to the stadium. But it's actually owned by the county and maintained by the county. And so
Okay.
there's actually a group now. It's called the HLSR Community Coalition. It was just established last year. So it is not part of rodeo, but it is a friend of rodeo. And its goal is to try to help the rodeo continue to grow, plan out for the future, whether that's whether that's where we're at or something else changes. But there are a lot of stuff that we would really like to have done to the stadium. I don't know if y'all saw I think it was a monster truck jam a week or two ago where the roof was leaking. And of course, it was a
Yep.
torrential downpour, but the roof was
Right.
pouring in water. And that can't happen during a rodeo. That dirt turns to mud real quick. So
That's true.
it's a lot of things we need to continue to work on with the county to either make that site better or other options. But I don't see any signs of us slowing down. We have an international committee that brings in international guests to grow the show.
Wow. Okay.
So I see no signs of it slowing down. I see us continuing to have top-notch performers. Rusty alluded to the Band-Aids. We gave out nearly 1,600 Band-Aids last year, just to put a number on it for you guys.
That's it.
I'm pretty sure Rusty gave out 1,000. I'm pretty sure Rusty gave out 1,000 of those himself. But we gave out 1,600. Yeah, 1,600 Band-Aids last year. And just the economic impact of what we do every year for students and just the scholarships. And so just in 2026, and I love. You'll hear a phrase at rodeo if you talk to committeemen, and it's for the kids. We say it all the time. It's for the kids. When my wife wants to buy something at the merchant center, it's for the kids. That's what she tells me, and she goes buys it. And so I do the same thing. I'm not gonna lie. But just last year, we just in 1 year, $15 million in scholarships, just in 1 year.
Wow.
And that's just in general scholarships. We also have $3.4 million in grants. And we also have $500,000 in graduate students scholarships. And we also have $11 million in junior show exhibitor scholarships. That's just 2026. So
wow.
That's what we committed. That's what we're going to be giving this year. Yeah. So with that kind of impact, and I read it somewhere, and I wish I could hit the numbers off the top of my head, but just the economic impact of the show on the city and the county.
Yeah.
Just the amount of money, just the show being there. Yeah, and the Uber drivers and the three-wheel bicycle taxi guy drivers and all of that, right? It is just a massive impact on our city in a positive way. Yeah, I don't see us slowing down. I see us going bigger and better until we hit max capacity, and then we try to figure out how to make the capacity bigger because we're not, as Texans, we don't know how to say no to getting bigger.
That's right.
in several different ways. But yeah, I really see us continuing to put on. I mean, I know rodeo leadership is just dedicated to putting on a quality show every year and raising funds for kids. I mean, literally, whenever I recruit, that's one of the first things I discuss with new people is the scholarship impact. Because to me, that's why I do it. You know, as a division vice chair, I joke about this, but I've been working since May for rodeo. I handle a lot of the interviews and a lot of the planning and strategic stuff, as well as ordering and working on shifts and getting and all that stuff, right? And I got a full-time job that's not rodeo, so
Right.
I do it because I am so committed to just what I've seen. You know, Rusty mentioned that one person in the elevator. I meet kids all the time who have benefited directly from a scholarship, who have gone to school on rodeo scholarship, and they now, my vet, for example, for my Great Dane, she's an A&M grad who got a scholarship from rodeo, and that's how she paid for her undergraduate before she went to vet school. So,
Amazing.
yeah, I don't see it slowing down at all. I just we just need to figure out how to make it bigger and better because we're never complacent at Rodeo Houston. We always want to do the next level every year, the next level. So it's just going to get bigger and better.
It's for the kids, man.
It's for the kids.
Yeah.
It's for the kids.
We even have lanyards that say that. It's for the kids.
Nice.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely for the kids. No doubt about that, Scott. So, Rusty, you got a little something for us right there, I think? There you go. You know, remember, it's for the kids, Joe.
It's for the kids.
I love it. So, Rusty, why don't you pyramid on that, if you would? Where do you see the rodeo evolving here?
Well, even this year is the first year, I think, since pre-COVID days that we're actually extended to 20 days this year. And I don't see us, unless something, you know, knock on wood, you know, changes like we did then. So, I mean, yeah, you know, we could go, I mean, they could change it, go up to more days, but this year is the first year, I think, and Scott, maybe was it pre-COVID that we were at 20 days, and then now this is actually.
Yeah, honestly, so what the reason why we're having like an extra day this year is our very last day, which is Cody Johnson concert. That is a concert only event. There is no quote unquote rodeo events that day. It's a full concert. So typically our concerts are about 45 minutes to maybe an hour at the most because we are family friendly. We don't want kids hanging out to midnight partying at the concert. So the night concerts are not a quote full concert, right? But Cody Johnson, he has two opening acts, and I don't remember off the top of my head who they are.
Once John Party.
Oh yeah, some good Texas music, by the way.
Randy Hauser.
That out. Yeah. Some good red dirt music. Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's a concert only. So that's why Sunday. That's why we're starting on a Monday. So that way we don't shorten the rodeo any. We're adding an extra day on the end as a concert. The last time we did that, it was either Garth Brooks or George Strait. I can't remember which one did it last.
Strait was the last one we did, and he set the record for 82,100 and some odd people inside.
Wow.
Honestly, I think if rodeo could figure out how to go 4 weeks, we would. If we did a mass poll and polled all the volunteers and say, "Hey, you want to do one more week?" It wouldn't surprise me if we go longer. But yeah, right now our limit is the size of the stadium as far as the participation of and it's a massive stadium, right? With Houston, you know, it's massive.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I would say we just go move to Kyle Field. That's 100,000 seats. That's just me as Nagy.
Right. Absolutely. Expect nothing less there, right, Astro?
Always bigger, always bigger. I think there's one thing I just wanted to point out to all the listeners is, you know, we're talking about the rodeo portion of it. You can just go and get a general admission ticket and go to everything except the rodeo also. So if you have a budget, don't want to stay there too late, or you want to just divide up your time and focus more on the educational parts of it or on the exhibits or the animals or anything else, you can still get a ticket to go in without having to go to the rodeo portion of it as well. So it's something to keep in mind.
I'm going to bounce off of that just to kind of refresh what I said earlier. The stages I mentioned, like the Junction stage, the Hideout, the Wine Garden stages, those are all free. So once you're on the grounds, you don't have to go to the rodeo. You just get a grounds pass, which the pass has been in the $20 range, I think. all that's included. So you can go to the junction stage, the wine garden stages, listen to music, adventure. The carnival does cost tickets, so you got to buy tickets on top of the grounds pass. But there's so much you can do with just the grounds pass and not having to go in to see the actual rodeo and the big headliner entertainer each night. Great mention.
Go ahead, Rusty.
I do think the rodeo is going to grow. It's, whether it grows into days wise, whether it grows into maybe you even open up, longer hours, but just they strive on education, quality of what you get. I mean, we're going to get bigger names, bigger, like you said, like Scott said, there's even in the center, I think there's a small little corner stage in there that they have an acoustic act in there that plays, and just guy in his guitar. So if you're looking for entertainment, whether it's people watching or music entertainment, it's there. Joe asked about kind of a funny story. So where our Carnival 4 station is, kind of at the corner where the hideout's kind of behind it. So it's about 1:00 in the morning and everything's wrapping up, and here comes a group of people and they're pulling a wagon. Oh, okay, cool, cute. They're pulling a wagon. You look closer, there's this guy just, sleeping in the wagon.
Long day.
Wow.
Rodeo will wear you out. It'll wear you out.
The rodeo will wear you out, baby.
He wore his new boots. He wore his new boots and they couldn't walk anymore.
Yeah. Where's new boots? They weren't walking anymore.
But I tell you, I'm going to build on what Astro said, and it goes along with what you said, Rusty. You stole my thunder a little bit because I was going to say one of the most fun things that my wife and I do at events like this is you can just walk around and it don't cost you any money to do this activity. Is just people watch because you can have the most fun doing that. And, at the rodeo, like I was talking about at Mardi Gras in New Orleans, and you could do some serious people watching there. I'm telling you now. But at rodeo, you could do the same thing, and you will pass the time so much just walking around. There's all kind of free things going on, but as you're walking between the events that you're looking at on your app on your phone, right, Scott?
Right.
And as you're heading there, you can do some serious people watching and just have a blast with that. I'm telling you right now, Joe. Joe, am I right or wrong?
That's worth the price of admission as far as I'm concerned.
And next time you're walking around and you're seeing ladies limping, you go tell you need to get some Band-Aids from Rusty. That's what's going on.
I still want to question the 1,600 Band-Aids. I think that number's too low.
Well, look, guys, we need to wrap up here because we've been talking about a lot of great things, and I'm sure we could go on another hour or two about all this. But I just wanted to do a podcast episode on the Houston Rodeo, and man, y'all have been nothing short of outstanding, and just the wealth of information that we shared. I learned a lot today, so that's really cool. And with that, I want to check with y'all and see if we, did I miss anything or any last words you have with anything, Rusty?
I think we kind of covered all. Just prepare. Just come out here, have fun, bring the family, just load up and have fun.
Thank you, Rusty. Really appreciate it. Scott, anything we missed? Any parting words with anything, please?
Echo prepare, but I'm going to caveat on that too. Is part of preparing is kind of figuring out what you want to do, and so that app definitely helps. Because even though we were talking for an hour, I guarantee you there is a lot of stuff we didn't talk about because there's just so much going on at Rodeo Houston. My wife's on the mutton busting committee, for example. So if you got a 5-year-old and you want to make them ride on a sheep for fun, there you go. But there's just so much stuff going on out there. And every year I learn something new that I didn't know about. So, it really becomes an annual event. I would hope people want to come out all the time and hang out and learn new stuff and see stuff. At the same time, a lot of it is exact same, so there's some familiarity there. So once you kind of know some stuff, you feel comfortable there. But prepare, hydrate. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir, but yeah, hydrate. But come out there and maybe also bring us a smidge of your Texas patience because some things do take some time. But it's just a lot of fun. And it's a great cause. So again. We give a lot of scholarships. We help a lot of kids, and we always have a lot of fun. And if you're interested in being a volunteer, every year everyone's always looking for more volunteers. That we never seem to have and don't have a need for that, depending on what committee it is. Join the rodeo and see if you can get on a committee, and maybe in 24 years you'll be like me, still doing this.
So would they go to rodeohouston.com for that as well, Scott?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They can go there, and there's a whole thing there about membership and joining. But and just to make sure I'm clarifying, just because you join doesn't mean you get to be on a committee. But that's the only way you can be on a committee is if you join.
Sure.
Yeah.
Excellent. Great. Well, Scott, thank you very much. And again, we really appreciate having you and Rusty here in the show. Astro Joe, my major contributor to the In the Pocket with JayBo podcast, and my bandmate. Did we miss anything or any parting words here?
No, it's just always very informational. It's always great to get an insider perspective from everybody. I said the people that are volunteering make it look easy for everybody, so your work is appreciated. Also from the EMS side and all that you guys do outside of this, that is so much appreciated also. So thank you guys very much for sharing your information with us.
You're very welcome.
Absolutely, and it's a treasure. And look, guys, if y'all haven't seen Astro Joe perform, he's probably one of the best accordion players in Houston. So, and a guitar player as well. He will fire up the crowd, man. We're really pleased to have him here on the show with us and being a major contributor to the podcast. So, Astro Joe, thanks again, brother. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Jay.
All right, brother. We're going to wrap up the show right now. And again, I just want to remind everybody to please follow, like, or subscribe to us. We primarily publish the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio, along with advertising the show on TikTok, Instagram, X, YouTube Shorts, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So there's no excuse. We're all over the place. Make sure you catch us. And I know our new friends here, Rusty and Scott, are going to really help share out this podcast episode so all their family and friends and peers can see this show. And so, is this your first time on a podcast? I wanted to ask y'all, Rusty, is it your first time? Or?
Yes, actually it is. It's the very first time.
Outstanding job, brother. Good deal. Appreciate it. Scott, you look like you might have some experience. You been on a podcast before or something?
I have been on some podcasts as well as some news reports as well. I've even been on the radio back when I was an information officer for an EMS service. So I've done a little bit of that, but it's been a hot minute. So this has been awesome.
Look out. Joe, we got a celebrity on here, man. Look. Well, Rusty broke out the heavy artillery on us, man.
Jay, if they're not celebrities, they will be after this episode.
There you go.
Well, now, so we actually had I don't know if you ever had a doctor on your podcast, but you have now. Alleviate to, but he just graduated from Texas Doctorate of Nursing. Is that right?
That's correct.
Woo! All right.
Dr. Scott.
Thank you.
Dr. Scott.
Congratulations, Big Scott. All right.
I appreciate it.
No, man. I tell you what, man. Joe, the brand is growing, I think, man. Look out.
It is.
No, but thank you, Rusty. Appreciate you letting us know that. All right. Now don't have you agent calling us and everything, Scott. I don't know what we can do with that.
You're fine.
Okay. Thank you, Rusty and Scott. And hey, guys, maybe we'll have y'all back next year if y'all are available, and we can talk about the current rodeo and things that are going on again. This has been outstanding. I really appreciate this. Thank y'all. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And with that, we appreciate everybody joining. We'll catch you on the flip side for the next episode of In the Pocket with JayBo. Thank you.